Howdy. Howdy. Welcome, everyone. We're sure glad you took a few minutes to join us today. We've got some special guests in the audience. John David Crow, our Heisman Trophy winner, is here today. The Chancellor of the University System, John Sharp, is right over here. President R. Bowen Lofton of Texas A&M University. Regent Jim Wilson, welcome. Regent Jim Shortner, welcome. We have a tradition here at Texas A&M University when we introduce a new coach, and I gave it away. We have an Aggie coat for you to try on, Kevin.
It's great.
So let's see if we can get this going. I can get my chair out of the way. These things don't slide worth a darn. We actually checked at the University of Houston for the right size, so we got this thing right.
All right.
And we noticed he has a proclivity for visors. So this is to start you off on the right foot, Coach.
All right. I appreciate it.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
I met Kevin for the first time last week in New York City. And one of the things that I always look for in meeting coaches is fit. I'm concerned about whether they fit the university, whether they fit with the values of the institution, whether they fit with our staff, whether they understand the culture. What did we talk about, 2.5 hours the first time?
That's correct.
It just flew by. The time just flew by. And I knew we had someone who not only understood the values of Texas A&M University, but embraced them. He'd been here before. He'd been here as one of us. He'd been here as the enemy. And the thing that I liked about him was how genuine his love for Texas A&M is, how much he loves working in the state of Texas, how much he loves what we stand for here at Texas A&M. I want to welcome Kevin Sumlin as the new head football coach at Texas A&M University. Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate it. You know, this is a very, very exciting time for me and my family. First of all, I want to thank President Lofton, the Board of Regents, Bill Byrne, for their diligence and patience through this process. I want to thank my wife even more for her diligence and patience through this process. Charlene, who's here today. You know, it's interesting. For me, having been here before, I have a real understanding and appreciation for the traditions and the history of Texas A&M, and the importance and the tradition of the 12th man in general, but in regards to football. It's a very, very, very special place. For me personally, I've had the opportunity, as Bill said, to work here, to come into Kyle Field for 7 years, either through the home locker room or the visiting locker room. And I think that for me personally, you know, it's a very, very special place. I've had the opportunity the last 20 some odd years to play in some of the so-called greatest stadiums, venues in the country. There's none finer on game day than Kyle Field. And for me as a football coach, to have the opportunity to lead our university into the SEC, to play in arguably the best conference and the best division in college football is an exciting thing for me, personally. And it should be an exciting thing for this university. It should be an exciting thing for our players, for our alumni. And it's an opportunity that, as I discussed with President Lofton and with Bill, that I thought was just fabulous. I can't wait to get to work. You know, today's been kind of a whirlwind, as Bill has said. It's since Saturday. I think there's been a lot of speculation, but really nothing was done till Saturday morning. And since that time, it's been a whirlwind. But we're going to hit the ground running today. Talked to some people this morning. We'll be out recruiting. I will be actually this afternoon. We'll have a team meeting this afternoon and just get a pulse for our current team. And then tonight we'll hit the ground running and try to keep some of the guys, not keep some of them, keep all the guys that are currently committed, and then get some other guys signed up here and head into the SEC with one of the best recruiting classes in the history of the program.
All right.
All right.
We'll open it up for questions. If you would, raise your hand and then called upon. Wait for the mic right here down in the front.
Robert Sessa, the Bryan College Station Eagle. Hi, Coach.
Hey, Robert.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very
First of all, can you talk about assistants? What's your plans there? Do any of the ones here have a chance, and how's that going to go?
Sure. As I said, it's been kind of a whirlwind. You know, I had a couple hours before we met with our team in Houston. I met with the coaches there. Really couldn't tell them anything. I think the important thing to remember here are the players that are involved in this process. This is kind of a unique situation. You've got two teams that are in bowl games. As I told the coaches at the University of Houston and our team, I thought that I would be a distraction to their success. Being the head coach here, I wanted to work through that part. Our team understood that I was not walking out on them, but what I was doing was giving them a chance to be successful. I met with the staff here today, the current staff, and explained the same to them. As coaching staffs, you owe it to your players to give them the best chance to win those bowl games, their final games. So the continuity of both staffs will remain in place for both bowl games. I will really kind of assume a lead recruiting role here in the next week or two. We've only got a couple weeks left to really talk about some mid-year guys and some other things. But we will go through the process and really evaluate where we are. As I said, Robert, I just really got here last night about 11 o'clock, actually. So I'm still in the evaluation process of both of those. But you know, I'll be able to answer that a little bit better in the next coming weeks.
Down front here, Chip.
Hey, Kevin, Chip Howard,
Hey,
Sports
Chip.
Radio 1150
Yeah.
The Zone. What coaches that you've been with have had the greatest impact on your career, do you think?
Well, you know, Chip, I've probably been so many places, probably too many places. You know, Mike Price gave me my first start as a coach, took a chance on me. Joe Tiller, I played for at Purdue as a defensive player. People think of Joe Tiller as an offensive guy. He moved me to offense, and at Washington State, you know, Jim Wacker. I've been through a bunch of guys, but I would say that the two guys that have influenced me the most, and probably I talk to the most as a head coach now, are R.C. Slocum and Bob Stoops. Just because the recent history, the guys who I have talked to just about life, about how they've done things, how they present themselves, how to deal with adversity. It's easy to deal with success, but it's a lot harder to deal with adversity, and those guys have done that. And so two different styles, and I just believe that you can learn a lot. You know, Joe Tiller told me one time as an assistant coach, he said, as an assistant coach, you're not trying to copy somebody. What you want to learn is not what to do, but what not to do, and not to make the same mistakes that maybe that head coach has made. And I've been around some great head coaches, and fortunately or unfortunately, they didn't make a lot of mistakes. They won a lot of games, and that's really helped me.
Right here in the middle, Christy.
Hi, Christy Reekin from the AP. It seems to me that you could have probably went a whole lot of places as your next move. What about A&M was really pushed it over the edge for you?
Well, you know, that's a good question, Christy. You know, there have been opportunities since really since the first year I was at the University of Houston. And, I think it gets back to what I said. A&M's always been a very, very special place to me. I think when you combine the academics with the tradition, it's a very, very unique place. And, you know, it's a very, very special place to me. I understand it. I've lived here. And as I said, for 7 years, you know, I've come into Kyle Field, and for a couple of those years, I've been very, very proud of it. For 5 of those years, I was scared to death coming in there of really what I think is a 7 to 10 point advantage at least, and that's during the daytime. At nighttime, shoot, you know, it's something else. So, you know, the appeal for I can't speak for anybody else but me, to have an opportunity to be the head coach at Texas A&M was something very, very special to me. Also, going into the SEC, I view that as you combine that with one of the great traditional universities in the United States, playing in probably the best league in the country and the best division in the country. It's just a great opportunity for me and for my family, and just I think you know, walking into that situation, it's the kind of thing that you know, you're going to be able to surround yourself with players, with coaches, with faculty. Obviously, the administration wants the best. In my conversations with President Lofton and the Board of Regents and Bill Byrne, you know, I'm very, very comfortable with how they're approaching that. And it all starts at the top. And you know, the ability to move into the SEC and compete at the highest level, I think had a little bit to do with it, but didn't have everything to do with it. I think that's a great situation for everybody that's involved in this.
Middle right.
Brent Zwerneman, San Antonio Express News, Houston Chronicle. Welcome back, Coach. Bill, wanted to ask you, are you able to share the details of the contract?
We haven't finalized it yet, so I can give you, we have to go through a normal process, and we have some regents sitting right here, and they'll be having to approve that. But the basic contract is a 5-year contract, $2 million per year.
Got a question over here to the left. Sorry, we'll get the mic.
Where are we?
Thank you for waiting.
John High from Fox 7 in Austin. Coach, how tough was the decision to come here and leave Houston for you?
It was extremely difficult. Anybody who was, and there weren't, but anybody who was at the team meeting on Saturday, it was extremely emotional. You know, anytime you work with young men and recruit guys and go through the ups and downs, you know, you become very, very close to them. And you know, after 4 years, you've basically seen a complete class come through. And there's situations where there, you know, are single parent homes and more than a number of situations there where there were no parents. And you know, the personal side of athletics comes through. And fortunately, you know, after talking with our team, I know that from a fan standpoint, they may never understand it. Maybe down the road they will. Based on my communication with the players there, they understand it, and that's what matters to me. But you know, as I said, when you have an opportunity like this, based on what I talked about earlier, to me, after sitting down and talking with my wife, it's something that I wanted to do and that I needed to do, and then I'm very, very excited to be here today. And any time that happens, you know, the emotions can grab you, and you think about it. You get up the next morning, and when we pulled in here this morning, and I got out of the car and came around and started walking into the building, That's all you need to see. When you start looking at Kyle Field, you look at the facility changes since I've been here 10 years ago, it's phenomenal. The commitment to the program, the amount of people that walked up to me, said howdy, and real quickly, I felt right back at home. So I'm excited about where we are right now. I'm excited about where we're going, and I think the personal side of athletics is very, people think you just pick up and leave. That wasn't the case for me, because I've become very, very close to the players, to the people who are close to the program, and those relationships, you just don't walk away from those very, very lightly.
You're on the front, far left, Coach.
Coach Darrell Bruffett from KBTX. I wanted to ask you, what does it mean to you to have guys like Seth McKinney, Bucky Richardson, Terrence Murphy, those guys in attendance to see you come back home?
Well, that means a lot. Some of those guys, I've said this wherever I've been, fans care a great deal, alumni care a great deal, but no one cares more than former players. And former players understand from a different perspective all of the not only financial efforts that they make, but the physical effort that they made for the program, and the sacrifice that they made personally as a player. I think they care very deeply. And for me, when former players are in attendance, when I think when they're around the program, I'm a big believer that former players should be around the program, because they understand it a little bit more. The current players are able to see them as maybe role models and what they can accomplish. And to me, you can't get any bigger compliment than to have former players around and supporting you to be the head coach.
You're front left, then we'll go middle right.
Hey, Kevin, Suzanne Halliburton with the Austin American Statesman.
You bet.
You're known as an offensive, really firepower kind of coach. Now you're going to the SEC, heavy on defense. Do you change your philosophy at all? I mean, or do you just remain the same?
No, I think it's, it's kind of interesting. Wherever I've been, we've done whatever is necessary to win and compete in that league, or particularly in that division. A lot's been said about, the SEC. I've probably said it, particularly in the West. It's probably the toughest division in college football. They play great defense. I think that, we're going to do what's necessary to win. And I think I've shown that in my track record as we evolved at probably Oklahoma. At Houston, what we've done there has been probably a little bit different, and that's because due to personnel. When I got to Houston, I always have looked at a job or an offense as, what do we need to do to win our division? And we're going to recruit to that philosophy. How are we going to do it? And we sit down and start with that premise. So that being said, styles change based on league. And based on your ability to be successful and the ability to attract the type of players that are necessary to win in that league. That being said, we're going to be diverse in what we do. And I think if you look back on what we did at Houston, as you said, a lot of people think we throw it 100 times a game or 80 times a game. I think if you look back at what we did there, we're a lot closer to being balanced than people will give us credit for, with a couple guys that have rushed for over 1,000 yards and done some things. But certainly our style will change based on personnel and based on league. And I think we have a track record, me personally, of doing that at Oklahoma.
Your middle right.
Brent Swarneman. Kevin, this program has been at about 500 over the past decade, about since when you left. What does it need to get over that hump?
Well, it's interesting, Brent. We talked about that in the meeting. That was a specific question, as a matter of fact. Almost, I'm not going to say who, but it was word for word. You know, and it's interesting, Brent. You might have been in the meeting, huh? You bugging us? I think. If you look at the overall record, you're correct. It's 500. I think if you go back and look at the number of close games that were lost, I'm talking about a touchdown or less, or 8 to 9 points or less. Out of those 500 type games, you'll be surprised at what the percentage could be. So the difference to me at any championship level is. You know, I had a commissioner of a league tell me as an assistant coach, he said, Kevin, as you move in to be a head coach, there's two things that you really have to do. And it's graduate your student athletes and win close ball games. And, you know, I think the difference is that percentage can change dramatically in your ability to win those close ball games instead of being in there at the end and something happening. How do you do that? That's what we're gonna face. I think it begins with, you know, how to your style of play. I think it's practicing in those situations. It's how you do things. So, you know, fortunately or unfortunately, you know, I've been in games at Oklahoma where that was an every week thing. I can remember being here in Kyle Field and going for it on fourth and a yard from our own 32 with less than 2 minutes to go in the game to try to win.
Remember that.
So, you know, those are close games and those are decisions you have to make with feel, and I have experience in that. I think the ability to get over the hump there is going to be the first thing. And recruiting to that becomes important. And I think that Coach Sherman has really laid a groundwork with the type of talent that's available. Particularly, I can't talk specifically about this recruiting class, but there are guys in this class that are outstanding players, that are leaders, that have been in, that are exceptional young men, not just from an athletic standpoint, but a character standpoint, and guys that are used to winning. And that type of culture, it's hard to, you recruit that. And you can bring some of that with you with a coaching staff, but you recruit that too. And we're going to we're going to build off of that and work towards, you know, not only being in those games at the end, but closing them out. Does that make sense?
And I've got big ears.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of scary. That was good, though.
Back to the far right, and then we'll come down front.
Up at the top, Coach. Luke Simons, KXHD, the NBC affiliate here in Bryan College Station.
You bet.
The 6-6 record, we've seen what fans think about it, and obviously you've talked about the 12th man and how special it is. What should fans expect from year one from you and for this team heading into the SEC and making that transition?
Well, you know, it's a transitional time. There's no doubt about it, but, you know, we're going to have spring football, and, you know, we're excited about going into the SEC and playing football. I think, you know, we're recruiting to that. I think the current players, as we get a better handle on our personnel and our depth, you know, I'll be able to talk about that in depth a little bit more. But right now, I think that what you're going to get from me and my staff is, you know, we're going to be an excited team. We're going to have some fun. We're going to get better as a offense and defense and special teams. We're going to pay attention to detail, and we're going to worry about us. That's kind of been the way I've done things. You know, we've fortunately or unfortunately, however you look at it, that I've never looked at who we've played as being the issue. I've worried more about our situation, and it's been about us. So. Whether it's Alabama or Alabama State, it really doesn't matter. I worry more about Texas A&M and us getting better, and we'll hit the field. We'll see where that is. You know, I'm not coming here to lose. I'll put it that way, and I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to start working with these guys, And as I said before to the staff here, I think that at Houston I would have been a distraction for what they were trying to do to win the bowl game. I met with our staff here this morning with Tim and just told him, hey, listen, I'm going to talk to the team today and give them just a general overview and outlook on me. But the staff owes it to this team to try to go out and win this bowl game and finish up in a positive manner. And I'm not going to come in here and just start trying to coach this team in the next 2 weeks to beat Northwestern. So after that, we'll move on. And as I said, we're going to take a positive approach. And like I said, I didn't come here to do anything but win, and that's the way I've approached every place I've ever been.
Time for a couple more down front, and then we'll go to the middle.
Scott Clendon, Sports Radio 1150 coach. How excited are you to sell A&M now as a head coach, and do you think that the relationships you built with the high school coaches in Texas will be seamless or improved as being the head coach at A&M?
Well, I hope both. That's a good question. I hope it's seamless and improved. There's a number of guys that I have recruited, or we have recruited at the University of Houston that are here, and for whatever reason, that's probably obvious. That they chose to come to Texas A&M, and I've run into a couple of guys this morning already that hey, Coach, I'm glad it worked out. And then I said, you know what, I'm glad it worked out too. So you beat me here, but. And there are guys that are out there right now the same way. So I've got, fortunately, I don't know how many years, more than I care to admit, even from my days at Purdue and recruiting Texas, and there are a lot of relationships that have been very, very strong. And because of that, I think that, relationships are important. How you treat people over the course of years is extremely important. Your ability to go back into that community because of your success with former student athletes, not just playing football, but graduating and being able to come back to that community or move on with their lives and really have a positive impact after they leave college. I think that's is what's important, and you have nothing more than your reputation. So I've been very, very pleased with the reception so far from a bunch of coaches and high school coaches, junior college coaches that I've known for the last 20 years. And just to answer your question in a short manner, I hope it's both. I hope it's seamless, and I hope it's positive.
Taylor, and then we'll follow up.
Howdy, Coach. Taylor Ham, Gig'em247.com. You've always been known as a great recruiter, just going back to your assistant's days here at A&M, at OU, and obviously the head coach at U of H. Do you feel like your ability to recruit is going to heighten now that you're at A&M just because of the strong brand of Texas A&M and the SEC draw? I
think it's a combination of things. I think that the brand is very, very strong in the state of Texas and nationally. I think when all you've got to do is pull around the corner and look at the facilities, what's going on with the current facilities and the facility upgrades, that helps, and certainly the SEC helps. So you combine that, all three of those things. It's never really one thing. It's not just about one person. But what you're looking for, I think, as a coach, is to give you the best possible scenario and situation you can have to be successful. So those three things that you just brought up, facilities, the brand of Texas A&M, and the reputation, the tradition, and moving into the SEC, I think give you a great possibility, a great chance to be successful in recruiting.
We'll go Billy Lucci with TexAgs.com.
Hey, Billy.
How you doing? Coach, this has been a dream job of yours, I think, since the day you stepped foot here. On a personal level, did you ever allow yourself to imagine this day? And then at what point in the process, in the past week, did you feel like this was going to be a real chance of becoming a reality?
Every time if you work certain places, or if you're outside looking in, I think assistant coach will tell you, he won't tell you he's lying. You know, when you walk out on the field and you look around and you say, boy, this is a nice place. Even as an assistant, you don't get the inner workings when you go on the road. Fortunately, I had been here before as an assistant and then gone on to some other places and coached, gone to Oklahoma and worked at and walked out on a bunch of other fields and talked to different coaches. And, you know, as I said before in the opening statement and in a couple questions earlier, there's without a doubt for me, I have a lot of relationships, personal relationships in Bryan College Station area. You know, my oldest son was born here. So, you know, it's a very, very special place to me from a traditional standpoint, but also from a personal level. And as you said, it's a place that somebody pointed out I could have, I wasn't looking to leave the University of Houston. And after my discussion last week with Bill Byrne early in the week, you know, it was a real candid discussion, and I felt extremely comfortable after about 30 minutes of talking with him, and the conversation went on for another 2 hours, and really until Saturday morning, it didn't really become, you know, it was a possibility after that, but there was really no formal discussion until Saturday morning. And anybody who's ever been in this business knows that until that conversation happens, it's really not a reality. You can't start thinking about a whole lot of other things. But for me, on a professional and a personal level, you're exactly right. It's a place that is very, very special to me.
We'll go right here, and then Cessna, you'll be our last question.
John High, Fox 7. Coach, I know you want to be seen as just a coach and a good coach, but what does it mean when you hear first black coach at Houston, first black coach at A&M? Does that mean anything to you?
Well, there's a lot of firsts that have happened for me as a coach. You know, there's a lot of records broken last season, the first at the University of Houston. You know, hopefully in the next, you know, 5 years or so, that won't even be a discussion. And I think that obviously for me, it's I've been through that, and you know, all I can say is that any success that I have will lead to the end of that even being a topic of discussion or even brought up here in the next 4 or 5 years. And honestly, you know, that's something that I really don't talk about. I haven't really. The only time it gets brought up is by media. Players don't talk about it in recruiting. Parents don't talk about it in recruiting, and it's never come up during the discussions that we have had. And like I said, any success that I can have, hopefully that will not be a topic of discussion here in the next 4 or 5 years.
Cease. Make it a good one.
Robert Sessingen, Coach, you mentioned about handling adversity. Last time you were here, the last year was a little bit adverse, but they promoted you as offensive coordinator to help that out. You had a good 9 games. How did that help you prepare for this?
Well, you know, anytime you're put in a position of leadership, it's got to help you. That was a real stressful situation, a little bit different, but you know, I look back on that, you know, at the night that RC called me, which was a Sunday night, that said be prepared to come in here Monday morning and take over the offense in the middle of the season. That doesn't happen very often. And looking back on that, that might have been one of the, at the time, going through those 9 games and then being without a job right after that, then putting that much into it, was one of the most stressful times in my life. I know it was probably the most stressful time in my wife's life. As a matter of fact, I think the first game she couldn't even stay there. She had to leave. She was so sick to her stomach about what was going on. So, but we were pretty good offensively. We did some things that helped us. We couldn't get over the hump. And I think looking back on that, it was a time that really, really helped me as a person, helped me professionally to deal with some things, and put me in some situations where, you know, pressure situations where you had to make some decisions and some hard decisions. And at the time, you know, a lot of times in your life when you think it's a difficult situation, and you're not very happy about the results of it. Little did I know at that time it was probably the best thing that happened to me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Bill, thank you so much. We've got a couple of players down here that we can break off out in the lobby for any of the media types. Thank you all very much. Good job.
Thank you very much.
Gotta go back down that way. Not very fancy.